Hello, welcome to the lecturer's desk. Get your medical thoughts cleared before you leave. And please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell.
Hello guys, welcome back to the lecturer's desk once again. Today we are going to talk of left bundle branch block. When you talk of left bundle branch block, what is it? It's a condition in which the transmission of the electrical impulse gets blocked at the left bundle branch. Now, when we take our heart, we have our conduction system. The conduction system is what transmits the electrical impulse, generates the electrical impulse and transmits it alongside the heart so that the myocardial cells can depolarize and then contract and give the heart its function as the pumping of blood. Now, from the heart, our natural pacemaker is our sinus node. Now, when you generate the electrical impulse from the sinus node, it transmits into the internodal pathway. And then get into our AV node. Then from the AV node, it gets into the bundle of His. And then from the bundle of His, it gives branch to left and then the right. This is what we are actually talking about. Our main concentration for today's class is the left and then the right bundle branch. Now, this condition is when the left bundle branch, this is our left bundle branch, the branch that leads to the depolarization of the left myocardium or the left ventricles. Now, when there's a blockage over here, the electrical impulse coming cannot pass through the left bundle branch. Therefore, all the electrical impulses generated by the sinus node will pass through the right side of the heart, which is the right bundle branch, and then depolarizes the right side of the heart or the right ventricles. After the depolarization of the right ventricles and without the depolarization of the left ventricles, the myocardial cells in the right ventricles, it has already gained what? The electrical charges and the electrical impulses, and then it will slowly depolarizes, it will slowly transmit the electrical impulse into the left side of the heart. And because of what? The slow transmission to the left side of the heart, it leads to what? The widening of the QRS complex. Now, let's look at something over here. After the atrium get depolarized, we get our P wave. Then after the P wave, it passes through the AV node and then to the bundle of His and then give to the septum. Now, this condition, there's an absence of what? A Q wave. There's an absence of a Q wave. Why? From our previous video, if you can remember, I made mention of the depolarization of the Q wave, the depolarization of the septum, which is being represented by the Q wave, is being done 90%. 90% of this work is being done by the left bundle branch. So this left bundle branch does what? 90% of the work, which is what? The depolarization of the septum. So in the condition in which there's what? A blockage of the left bundle branch, do you think we can depolarize the septum? No. And hereby we cannot what? Find what? The Q wave. So one of the criteria for the identification of the left bundle branch block in the EKG graph is there will be what? There's no Q wave. There's no Q wave. Aside that, the second criteria is that after the blockage, all the electrical impulses get to that of the right side of the heart. And then the right side will depolarize it first. After the depolarization of the right ventricles, the electrical impulses then move into the left ventricles slowly and then causes what? Left ventricular depolarization. And because of that, we get what? Two depolarization at different times. We get two depolarization in different times. On a normal sense, the two ventricles without a blockage must contract or must depolarize simultaneously, and thereby forming only one QRS complex. But in this condition, since the right depolarizes first and then later on transmit its impulses into the left, it gives what? Two depolarization at different times, giving us what? In the form of the QRS complex in the form of what? M. Perfect. Now, from our last video, we talked about the right bundle branch block. And then the right bundle branch block was also having what? An M shape, but the M shape was on the V1. That is the precordial lead V1. But this M shape can be seen in the V5 to the V6. So when you are identifying the left bundle branch block, the M-shaped QRS complex or the M-shaped QRS complex must be identified on the V5 and then the V6 precordial leads. And then oppositely, which is the right bundle branch block, the M shape is on V1 or on the V2. Are we clear with it? Now, secondly, let's come to that of what? The V1 on the left bundle branch block. On the left bundle branch block, the V1 has a very high notch. Okay. It has what? A deep QRS complex. A deep. This is what? QS. This is QS. So this QS is very deep. It's very deep. It's very long. On a normal sense, you won't see it in that way. So this is what? A very deep QS complex. And then sometimes the QX that we are having can also has the shape of what? A W, which also represents the first depolarization of the left side the right side, and then later on depolarizes what? The left side. But it's not always over there. It's not always over there. Let's look at that thing over here. So this is our V1. Our V1, we get what? A deep QS complex. A deep QS complex. And this deep QS complex on the V1 shows us or tell us that the electrical impulses are directed to the right side of the heart without passing into the left side of the heart. And because of that, there's what? High depolarization of the right side of the heart, giving what? A high deep QS complex. Are we clear with it? Now, this W shape is not always over there. Sometimes you can see it and sometimes you cannot see it. But what you must take note of is what? A deep QS complex on the V1, and then an M shape on the V5 and then the V6. So the second criteria is M shape on the V5 to V6 QRS complex, and then 3, a deep or very long SQS complex on the V1 and then the to V2, and sometimes you can also identify it on the V3. So we know the V1 and then the V2, they represent the right side of the heart, and then the V5 and then the V6 They are called the lateral leads, and this lateral leads represent the left side of the heart. Now, so the V1 and then the V2, which actually represent or take information from the right ventricles, they give what? A very high depolarization, because all the electrical impulses are directed to that place. A very high depolarization and a deep QS complex. And also sometimes you can identify it as what? A W shape at the bottom of it. But it's not always there. All what you must know is what? A deep QS complex. A deep QS complex. And then secondly, the V5, V6 must give you what? An M shape. With these two informations, you can identify that we have what? A left bundle branch block. And lastly, the deviation. We have a left side deviation. We have a left side deviation. A left side deviation. Since there's what? A blockage at the left bundle branch, the axis of the heart is being deviated to the left side. The axis of the heart is being deviated to the left side. So when there's a left side deviation, you must think of something bad happening to the left side of the heart. So the left side of the heart, when there's something bad happening to it, let's come to the V5, V6. So on the V5, V6, what can we see? We can see there's what? An M shape. Perfect. Now let's come to V1. V1, what can we see? We have what? A deep QS complex. Now it gives us what? A clear identification of what? A left bundle branch block. Are we clear with it? Now let's take this last example. So this example, we can see we have on the V1, we have what? A very long and a deep QS complex. A long and a deep QS complex. And then when you come to the V5 and in the V6, now look at the V5. For the V5, we have what? First depolarization, and then there's a second depolarization, which is in the form of what? An M. It is also giving us what? An idea of the left bundle branch block. Now let's go to the V6. V6 too is giving us what? First, second, in the form of what? M. In the form of M. So this M also what? Giving us idea of the left bundle branch block. Now let's look at the graph on the board. So the graph on the board, what can we see? Now we can clearly see that there's what? An M shape on the QRS complex. You understand? An M shape on the QRS complex of the V5 and then the V6. Secondly, we can identify that there's what? A deep QS complex on then the V1, V2 and also V3. So this is giving us an idea of what? A left bundle branch block. And aside that, look at the deviation. Look at the deviation. The deviation is on what? The left side. The deviation is on the left side. So you check the D1 and then the D3. The D1 is what? The positive, and then the D3 is the negative. You're giving us what? The deviation on the left side. Are we clear with it? Now, this is basically what, and lastly, you see, we cannot identify what? P wave over here. We cannot identify P wave over here. So these are what? The four criteria that we shouldn't forget when you're talking of what? The left bundle branch block. And I'm wrapping it up. First, we have an absence of a Q wave. Second, we have an M shape on V5, V6. Thirdly, we have what? The deep QS complex on V1, V2, and then sometimes V3. And also, lastly, there's what? A left axis deviation. Left axis deviation. This is what? A clear identification of what? This pathology, which is what? The left bundle branch block. So this bring us to the end of today's lesson. Please, if you find this lesson useful or interesting, please kindly hit on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also share and recommend it to a friend